But then we move on to the Garden of Gethsemane, because so much was lost in the Garden of Eden. Our relationship with God was lost. Our place in God's heart. I mean, he still loved us very much, but he couldn't have that relationship with us because he's a holy God and we had become sin. But in the Garden of Gethsemane, Jesus was struggling with issues of obedience to God. He knew what he had to face. He knew what he had to go through. It said that in going through this, he actually sweat blood, which means that the blood vessels under his skin from the pressure that he was under began to burst, and the blood dripped down his face like sweat. That's some intense pressure. And his question to God was, is there any way that this cup can pass from me? You know, is there any other way to get around this than actually going through it? But his human nature had to be obedient. And the obedience brought him to a point of change. But the only way to be obedient was to consult God. And that was the whole reason why he went into this Garden of Gethsemane, was to pray. When he went with his disciples, he told them, you know, y'all stay right here and I'm going to go. He went off into the middle of the garden and he prayed. And when he came back, he found his disciples asleep, you know, and he asked them, couldn't you not watch for 1 hour, you know, which is kind of a lonely existence. I mean, he was all alone in this decision to have to go through what he had to go through to redeem mankind. But in this garden, in this prayer time, he consulted God, and that's the main issue that I want to bring up. It is so important to consult God for any decisions that you're going to make in your life, be it relationship, job, or career, what house you're going to purchase. There's a special house that God has in his plan for you. God has a specific plan for your life. But getting back to the topic at hand here, we failed in the Garden of Eden because we failed to consult God. Neither Adam or Eve chose to pray and ask God's opinion on what they were confronted with. We succeeded and were able to be redeemed in the Garden of Gethsemane because that was the whole reason that Jesus went into the garden, was so that he could pray and seek God's advice, God's opinion on what the decision that had come before him. And he relied on God's opinion. And even though everything within him rejected what he had to do, he accepted the will of God. And so that brought us our success. That brought us our redemption. That freed us as slaves to sin. We became slaves to disobedience, which means sin. You disobey God. And we became slaves to that. And he bought our freedom by being obedient. So disobedience caused our failure. Failure to consult God on the real issues in our lives caused our failure. But our success came when we learned to obey God, learned to seek God's opinion, God's view. And that's just prayer. So my message to you today is pray over every decision, because clearly you can see what prayer will do in our lives. It will bring us success because God is going to point us in the right way. He has a plan for your life. He has success. He wants good things for you. I love you. Jesus loves you. And before I go, as I usually do, I'm going to pan and let you see the beauty that I'm beholding, God's creation. So you go ahead and enjoy it.
In the middle of the garden, front them did a friend have to obey. In the middle of the garden,
watching. God bless you. And have a blessed day.